Hello, Marnie. Welcome to Founders Podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ash. I am very well, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you, you would like to share with our audience?
Sure. Before I share the motivational quote, it's important to note that I used to be a personal trainer. So that's where this quote comes from, just in case it sounds a little bit out there. The quote is, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And I used to pull that out all the time when we were like banging on another 10 burpees, another 5 thrusters. So yeah, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Indeed, indeed. That's something which I can relate to. My grandmother used to tell me, like, um, do you want to become we used to play cricket when I was very small. So, do you want to become the best batsman? Because batsman is like one of the fancy thing to be. Yes. Okay. Can you wake up at 5 a.m. to practice? No. Then you will not become that.
I love that.
And
I love
that's
that.
how she used to push me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Great. So Marnie, tell us about your story, how you have navigated through, a physical training space to the technology and then now AI. What motivated you? And then we can jump into more strategic questions.
Okay, so I guess a little bit of a long story. 20 years ago, I graduated university in Australia
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
qualified physical education and science teacher. I always knew I wanted to be a PE teacher, and I was lucky enough to also be playing quite high level sport going through school and university. In Australia, you get posted to what we call the rural times. So you have to leave the city and you have to go into the bush and teach
Hmm.
before you're allowed back out. I didn't quite fancy that, so not long after I graduated, I got straight on a plane and came to London.
Hmm.
Um, and then fast forward 8 years, and I start my first business on the back end of loving. I wouldn't say loving um, teaching PE, but loving doing all of the international sport that I was doing in that time. So I was lucky enough to play touch rugby and
Hmm.
netball for England, and I was struggling to get time off to go to my competitions, and I was struggling with the education system. In Australia, we very much come from lifelong learning, lifelong passion for learning. Whereas here in the UK, I felt it was various teaching to assessment pieces. So I'm even
Hmm.
more excited about digging into AI for education later if we do get to that, because it's a big passion of mine. I want us to move away from teaching to an assessment piece. So yeah, fast forward 8 years, and I start two businesses at one time, as you do. One is a personal training business, and the other is an early years physical education business. Fast forward
Hmm.
again to the pandemic times, both go online. I learned all things online business at that time, which also included using some automations like Zapier, sales funnels, and my first AI tools, which was Jasper. AI for
Hmm.
copywriting.
Hmm.
My brick and mortar business, so the early years physical education business, we go back in person, and I moved to franchising that business. And then my sports, it was called Sports Fit, so it was physical. Personal training, we moved to staying online, and I was able to build both businesses. One, Sports Fit, I exited just over almost 18 months ago, and
Hmm.
Sporty Minis, thanks to AI, I have changed my business model to a business partnership, and now have. We've just started literally this week our fifth region within the country for Sporty Minis,
Wow.
and that is thanks to learning all things generative AI.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
here I
Why
am
not? Why
today.
not?
Here I am
Yeah.
today, guesting on your podcast as an AI trainer and
And
strategist.
definitely. I mean, AI is augmenting humans so much right now, right? So, great. So you didn't start in tech, but yet now you're building entire AI workflows, What mental shift helped you most, and how can other non-technical founders follow your path?
Well, this might be controversial, but I don't think using generative AI tools is actually technical.
Mm.
For me, I haven't really made a shift into thinking that, I'm working in tech because I haven't been able to, link the two. For me, I think using generative AI is more about strategy. It's more about what
Mm.
outcome do you want and how do you reverse engineer it. And I think I have been lucky enough to do that throughout all of my careers. And you even do that when you're playing sport, right? It's we have an opponent that we're going to face, and we have to reverse engineer how the game's going to be. How do we outwit them attackingly? How do we outwit them defensively? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What's the weather conditions? Who's the referee? Like, you kind of always reverse engineer the outcome that you want. And I think that's just generally how my brain works. So I think when using Gen AI tools, I just kind of managed to go, this is what I think I want. Use AI strategically to help me and be a bit more of my collaborator and my thinker. And then yeah, just have a little think about how it can make me faster, how it can help me have better quality in whatever I'm trying to deliver. Yeah, I don't find myself technical. I see it more as a strategical business focus.
Mm.
But I guess just generally using it and loving the confidence I get as a business owner. Entrepreneurs, we wear many, 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 many hats. Some hats we're really good at, some hats we're not so good at. And I guess since using Gen AI since 2021, into 2021, even before ChatGPT, I honestly have seen a massive shift in my personal confidence and then therefore business growth.
Indeed, indeed. And it seems like even not being from technology, you know quite a lot of things into business space. Let alone you also understand how to do sales and everything. I'm guessing that's how you managed to build so many businesses, right? Let's let's talk about that then. How do you personally use AI, and how do you go forward when you have an idea? For example, if you're starting a new business, not in AI or in AI, doesn't matter. What are the strategies, in your opinion, a founder should follow in order to get, let's say, first 10 customers?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, just last week, I was working with a new client. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she's just launched her practical sustainability solutions company. She's a sustainability consultant helping SMEs in the UK reach that net zero by 2030. So she came to me. This will be her third business or fourth business that she's also started, but she knows that AI can help her do it quicker and faster.
Mm-hmm.
And with the strategy background for me, she said, right, let's do this together. So we literally started last week and we're about to launch her website. We literally met Monday last week and it's Monday today and she's about to launch her website. So in a week, we've been able to do it.
Awesome.
So if we, again, reverse engineer it, the first thing is competitive research and market research, market trends. What is the pain point? What is the problem? All
Mm.
entrepreneurs, they all say the best businesses start from of our own or solving a problem for somebody or something in the market, right? They're always the best
Mm.
businesses. So what was her current issue or problem that she wants to solve? SMEs, knowing that 2030 deadline is coming and that they want to, and they're under pressure by a lot of their staff to include more sustainability, but not sure how to do it and not sure how to do it, budget friendly as well. So that was the main problem. A lot of competitive analysis and research. We used a lot of deep research tools. So not just ChatGPT, we used Deep Agent from Abacus AI. We even, rightly or wrongly, used Manus
Mm-hmm.
and Perplexity as well. And so we did a whole lot of deep research to what is out there. Then it was interviewing the founder, her. What is her
Mm.
unique selling proposition? What's her value? What
Proposition,
does
yeah.
she bring? And what type of
Mm.
thought leader is she? Because we all have some type of thought leadership within us. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
we either not sure how to express it, or maybe we just don't get asked the right questions. And that's the amazing thing when using your Gen AI or your LLMs, right? Is they can really ask you the questions that dig deep in here and is able to get that out for you. So then we interviewed her. Her favorite AI tool is Claude. So we were able to use all the market research and the competitive analysis from our deep research, popped that into Claude along with answering the interview questions that we did for her. And she went back and forth with Claude to decide on her offer that links to the
Mm-hmm.
market.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was the website copy and the social media copy. And then we're just about to launch the LinkedIn strategy tomorrow. So that's where we're at.
Amazing. In a week. Oh my
I
God.
know.
This sounds like, I don't know, 3 months good work, right? For all these research and everything, and you managed to pull that off in a week. That's amazing. And this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Like, businesses, like founders, mostly focus on their product, their features, how the product look, what the product is solving. They don't actually focus on the strategy, the market, predominantly the sales, the marketing part where their money or the customer is going to come from, right? And that's how it makes different to have somebody like yourself in the space. Talk to us about the second stage, what you're going to do for this customer. What are the different strategies you're planning already in your head? Obviously, you're going to use quite a lot of AI into that time frame. But what are the different strategies a founder, or in this case, your customer, should be at least considering going forward to get more traction and obviously customers?
Yeah. Um, okay, well, I'll start by saying the biggest lesson I've learned in business in the last few years has been from Stephen Bartlett's book, 33 Laws of Life and
Mm,
Business. I can't remember what law it is, but I had this really big light bulb moment. And at that point in time, I'd already been in business, 8 years already, maybe 9 years already. And the law was fish where there's big fishes. In other words,
mm,
target where there's money to be made, where people are spending money or companies are spending money if you're doing business to business. And I guess, although I guess I believe in that, I think I struggled a little bit with that because I'm like, oh, I want to help everybody. Or, you know, in health and fitness, you do want to help everybody. And, not
mm,
everybody wants to pay and invest in themselves. And when you're teaching earlier sport, you can't go and, charge 50 quid per child per session, right? So I think I
mm,
was always kind of shopping a little bit small. So when moving into online business or moving into more business to business, because I was always B2C, moving towards
mm,
business to business, I was like, right, I am not making any of those mistakes again. And I will be doing that in all of my strategies for my clients. Where is the money being spent? So that's the
mm,
first thing. When we go, we're going to go off and use some AI tool, again, deep research, but there's quite a lot of scraping tools you can use like Apify, where we're going to do some research around which SME industries are spending the money. And we
mm,
have already done a little bit of that, and we know it's in manufacturing, and we know it's a little bit in client services. So now that we know that, we're going to do some scraping using AI tools to get us a list of businesses, their current clients as well, because they'll be the next level of clients to target as well if they're spending money.
mm,
Social media, like so LinkedIn example profiles. From there, we're gonna look into some pain points, of either the business, which we've already done a little bit of, but actually the person in the role that we need to target. You know,
mm,
are they spending hours trying to find this information? Are they not hitting any business deadlines? Where are they searching? We're going to try and hit those pain points so that when we can reach out and do some messaging, not only not therefore we're not doing exactly what you alluded before. It's not about the features of her sustainability program that she's got to offer, but it's going to be the benefits to the actual person within the business she's targeting and the business's overall issues that she or the problems that she needs to solve for them. And I think
mm.
we do that starting from where is money being spent right now.
That is so awesome. And then based on this research and the strategy in place, you're gonna go forward and then potentially, pitch the idea to the client. And then if I don't know how the relationship works, like is there a pitch and then she accepts it or whatever you say, that goes forward. But based on that, you go forward and then implement those strategies. Will you be able to talk about you touched a little bit while you were explaining the strategy around your LinkedIn strategy, but also around their social media handles and contact details, etc. What kind of lead generation techniques you will be using in that? Will you be focusing on outbound? Will you be focusing on inbound? What's the strategy there?
Yeah. So for this client in particular, and actually I do recommend this for a lot of people, start with your low-hanging fruit. Start with your network already. Just people generally, as humans, we want to help other people, right? It's what we naturally want to do. So if you're going on LinkedIn or just generally in any of your networking groups, we're all on WhatsApp now. I'm sure we're all in a couple of business WhatsApp groups. Just put it out there. I've launched my new sustainability business, my consultancy business. This is what my initial offer is. This is the outcomes we're looking to help businesses with. I would love a recommendation for anyone you might know in your network that could just do with knowing about me, right? That low hanging fruit, we seem well, from experience myself and from working with other people, we seem to brush over that and almost go straight to, right, what's my social media strategy? How many posts can I put out a day? Am I going to send some direct messages via Instagram? And actually your biggest wins are normally in your network to start. So we're starting with her network, and because she has a previous business called Plank, which is a sustainable furniture business, also in manufacturing, she has a lot of initial contacts. She's also in a networking group of which the founder is of that networking group. They're doing a collaboration, and I think collaborations and joint ventures are the next big wins. I would even be considering those before doing your own social media. Because you're tapping into other people's audiences. So this client is working with a networking managing director, and there's a joint collaboration there where she's doing some marketing. The consultant's coming in. It's going out to her whole network, so her whole audience. She's got over 3,500 people on LinkedIn, and she's part of other networking groups. So because that lady is promoting the consultant, and there is, like a finder's fee almost, there's a win for both, right? So those type of collaborations, I think, are really, really key. And then it's before going out and posting as many times on social media as you can and stabbing in the dark and hoping people are inbound to you, I would go back to finding someone else's audience. So is there, again, some podcasts for her to go on to, some talks, some events, and some other businesses of which there's a crossover. So she can work with that business. They will be able to recommend her for other businesses. So it's tapping into other people's audiences. And then I would say it's important to then get her social media strategy up, both business on LinkedIn, but also personal. Personal reach is going to get more on LinkedIn. It's important for SEO/GEO search, generative engine optimization, and social search for her to be on all the meta platforms. I mean, if she wants to dabble in TikTok, that's fine. It's not something that I say to start with. But it is important for her to be on there with her strategy, and it's just a repurposing strategy. So whatever she's posting on LinkedIn, where we have set up an AI assistant to repurpose that for her meta platforms. And then it is outbound. So again, we've got quite a lot of AI tools of which we scrape the data. Scrape what's available online about the companies and the people she's targeting. And then we use Humane AI, which again looks for bespoke information about that person, the businesses they've been to before, the projects they've been doing, how they like to start conversations. And then it's a really strategic direct message that is not pitching anything, but just networking within the industry. And again, just saying, hi, I'm your sustainability consultant, here whenever you need.
Indeed, indeed. And you also touched upon using these different strategies, this approach at different times, right? As you mentioned that, TikTok is not something which you should try at initial stage, but it all depends upon like which category your business are in. I was listening to another podcast this morning when I was in on my treadmill, and I found out that there was a team, there was a guy from France. He launched a simple SaaS product, um, uh, which literally puts captions on your 1 minute long video. That's all it
Amazing.
does. literally nothing else. That is, and they became, I think, 5,000 MRR business within 2 weeks, and then a million within 9 months.
Wow.
Just doing that thing. But he was saying that if I do this today, I wouldn't be successful. Because the reason they were successful was because they were at the right place at the right time. It was just the time when YouTube launched their shorts. The social media was picking up on short content, short video content type of content, and then everybody started doing short form videos. And the challenge was to do the captions. So everybody wanted to have the caption, but remember, creating content is a very hard uh, job. It's a hard task. So people start it, they do it for a couple of months, and then they stop it if they don't get into the viral mode, if one of their videos doesn't get viral. And that's why they started feeling churn after a year, growing to a million in 9 months and then churning. But they still kept growing because they started putting more features on it, and then B2B market and outbound and other strategies. But yeah, that's one of the things I've learned from that podcast, that you have to be at the right timing is one of the biggest thing in your business success, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. Big time. And I
Yeah.
think we're moving into now, if the founder of that SaaS company, the captions, if they were looking to grow again and stay relevant in the market and stay ahead, especially if they keep improving the product, the next thing they would need. Well, I would be suggesting and presuming that they would be then looking for a big creator to collaborate with, because that's the only way I think in now and probably in the next probably in 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years max before AI agents are doing all the stuff for us. But I think the next 1 to 3 years, it's about the collaboration with big influencers and creators. Like for example, School, the platform School, Alex Hormozy, they've got together. Sten Store have just signed with Stephen Bartlett, and there's plenty other Mr. Beast. He is jumping on board as kind of ambassadors. Well, they're way more ambassadors, aren't they? Because they're investors at the end of the day. But that is how you grow to that next level, because that's the only way to now stand out in the market, is again to tap into the audience of a big influencer and a creator. So yeah, I think if you've done all the work on social media and you've got that influence out there and you don't quite have a product, my suggestion is, if you're an influencer, don't create a product, find somebody who has a product and collaborate,
Sure.
because it'll be a win-win for everybody.
Win-win for everyone. That's spot on. Okay, so let's go into a little bit more deeper than being a sustainability consultant. Let's say if somebody, so okay, I attended a podcast show recently, a couple of weeks back. The podcast show 2025. Oh my God, that was so big. 20,000 people under a roof.
Wow.
Companies from US, Australia, everywhere. Big companies there, Spotify, Apple, their CTOs, podcast vertical CTOs were there doing the speeches and everything. And what I've learned is from small podcast matching. So we both use Podmatch, but then there were other platforms who were doing the same. And there was this theme which I can see, that people are now more intended to see natural, raw, genuine content, because of this AI coming into the scene. Everybody knows that what they are watching could be or not be AI generated content. And that's why the raw, the genuine, the emotional, proper human content is going to be the next big thing. What is your opinion on that, and how do you feel about going into that direction?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that we as humans are going to go through a shift where, and I think we're starting to see it now, even without, mass adoption of AI, but it's that human connection. It's that bringing back community. I think we saw a lot of it during the pandemic times, where people were forming online communities. People were thriving to be seen and heard because we were all kind of locked down and so much uncertainty. Whereas I actually think we're going to go back to that, but people are going to want more in-person communities. and they're going to want experiences. So if you're in a type of business that, even if it is a software that helps us that or aids that or creates the environment for that, just as an example, I only knew this the other.
School.
Yes,
Yeah.
school. But just as an example, the other day, I was going through Oxford, and I was like, okay, I need to do some, trails. There was like a trail or a fine, like a, I can't remember, like a, um, what is it where you I've got a
Meet up.
mental, yeah, but I've got a mental blank, but your challenge, you've got like a treasure hunt, like a treasure hunt,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So people are doing experiences like that, which are all created. I'm kind of like, see how Pokemon has taken off. That's the same thing. It's very similar to that concept, isn't it? Where people go together and they find different parts of Pokemons in different areas, and it becomes like people are really craving that experience. And that is very digital as well. So I think there'll be a big uptake on that. I think there'll be a big uptake on using softwares to, yeah, do the meetups, like I said, in person. We're really craving that as a human in society at the moment. But I think most importantly, because hopefully a lot of our mundane tasks are going to be outsourced to our
mm,
agents, and just everything just generally doing faster. I mean, just as personally for me, I'm moving down to a 4 day work week come July, mainly because
mm,
it's summer and I want to work with my children. I normally do like a couple of hours, but I'm like, no, I'm going to do a four day work week, and I'm going to carry that on from September as well, because I am so much more productive than I've ever been before. My businesses are growing and scaling at a pace that I'm enjoying, and I think that's the most important
mm,
thing. So we're all going to have more time on our hands, and in that time, we want to be more purposeful. And if you look back at history and societal history, people have wanted to give back to their community. They want to make an impact. They want to make a difference. They want to look like they're helping someone, or they want to be together achieving something.
mm,
Just on the weekend, I was at the Blenheim Triathlon, Blenheim Palace Triathlon. My partner was doing it. And, the communities of people out there cheering and doing things on, and, raising money for
mm,
charities. That is what people are going to have more time for and really be craving. So if you're in a business that is allows that, whether that's through software, whether that's through a business consultancy as such, like coaches, or whether it's a venue like a setting. Paddle, the sport of paddle was massively taken off because it's almost inclusive for everybody. That is
mm,
where I think we're heading. So if you're thinking business, I think we try and get out of what's been and done before, and we try and be a little bit more thought leadership about where people are going to be spending their time and want to be spending their time, in I would say, I always say 1 to 3 years. I think there's a massive shift coming. I don't know if you agree, Ash, but I do
Yeah,
think we're in a
I do
massive
totally.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah, I do totally agree with you because you see, what's happening is for even for creators, we don't have any control over our data anymore. You put any content out which you have worked for like, I don't know, a week, and you put it out, and then you have 1 million followers, but it just goes to 5% of them. Until and unless those 5% engage with your content, it doesn't go to the next 5%.
Mhm.
So being working on content creation for this third party company, YouTube, Spotify, or TikTok, right? You gather all these followers because you're producing this good content, but now you have zero control over the content because it's all about algorithm. So I totally take your point. Next big thing is going to be the platforms or uh, the ways you bring people together as a community,
Yeah.
as a small group of people, and then they do things together in real world. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
um, Moving towards the AI then, right, Mani? Uh, would you be able to share some tools which you use on a daily basis, or some tools which uh, founders should be using if they don't know, for not just learning but also helping them into their businesses when it comes to marketing, sales, and gaining customers, because that's one of the biggest pain point for founders in software space.
Yeah, gosh. Okay. So my list is really long, but I'll
Mm,
say it's long because it's kind of my job, to,
mm,
know the go-to tools and try them all myself. But I would say, I use Claude, and on Claude,
mm,
I have my AI assistants. I think on Claude, I have about 6 to 7 AI assistants on Claude. Um, And then I use ChatGPT, and I have probably again another 6 to 10 AI assistants. And then I've created maybe, oh, I don't know, almost at least 10 GPTs. And I use Gemini quite a lot. I use the voice mode on ChatGPT is my favorite over Claude or Gemini. I use
Mm-hmm.
Perplexity, and I've just started using Perplexity Labs, and it's created me a few very good resources to share. Which has been amazing. Every day I use that. I have a tool which I absolutely love. I've got two that I absolutely love, and one's called Recall, which is linked to my laptop and my phone. And anything that I'm browsing, anything that I save, all of my meetings, everything is in there, and it's my second brain. And I think, gosh, I remember listening to a podcast, about I don't know, the changes in the new ChatGPT models. Oh, I'd have no idea which one it was again. Just jump on Recall, list me all the information about the changes in ChatGPT models that I've listened to in the last 2 weeks, right? And everything is recalled and comes up, which is amazing. The other one is called Note GPT,
Mm-hmm.
which again I summarize YouTube videos on there. I create quite a lot of content through Note GPT. And then I have restarted using again because I used to use it a lot, but I restarted using Notebook LM,
Mm-hmm.
which I start to use a little bit more as a ongoing GPT. So the one thing I'm learning with GPTs is you create them, you give them the knowledge base, you give them the custom instructions, and then it goes to work, but you can't see the chats. You can only pick up from the previous chat, so it doesn't save any of the memory. You don't have access to that data, which I want to come back to later, and I'll tell you what I'm building and why. And then you can't really keep adding to that information. So I've started to do that on Notebook LM. Instead, you can upload, it used to be 50 sources, but now I believe it's 300 sources. And those sources can be text, it can be documents, it can be MP4s, it can be YouTube links, it can be website links. And then you upload all those sources into a notebook, and then you can start to talk to that notebook, and you can talk to the AI that links to only 2 or 3 of those sources. So you just tick them on. So say it's like 3 podcasts and you want to know the difference between those podcasts, different thoughts and opinions from other people, or it could
Mm-hmm.
be the whole sources, and your whole notebook might be on for me, I've been trying to upskill myself a little bit on all the things vibe coding, right? So started using Replit, so upskill. So I've got a notebook all on vibe coding, all the information, all the learnings that I do go in there, and I can talk to the AI, which is linked to Gemini through Notebook. So it's kind of my learning tool, I think, more than anything. Obviously, on Notebook
Mm-hmm.
LM, you've also got your podcast that you can create as well. So yeah, I've started
Mm-hmm.
using that as my big learning one. And then the one thing that I'm doing now um, that I guess takes up a lot of my time. Actually, two things. One is all the deep research. So, Menace, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Deep Agent from Abacus are probably my go-tos I say to my clients, you should do at least one deep research task a week. I try to do one a day. Because I'm obviously doing it for my clients, but I'm also doing it for different industries as an AI trainer as well. And that deep research is, market trends, or it could be articles, it could be just going deep into a company that you need to know information about, because you're trying to solve a problem for them and build a SaaS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use the power of deep research to, be able to do that. And I use it a lot to create resources. So I was doing them for an early years. So early years sector, as you know, is my things. Nursery managers, it's creating an AI literacy, literal mini course just for them. So many of them are scared. They don't like change. They think they're not techie. So I'm like, right, I want a very, very short mini course. Here's all the training I've done before, deep research, what's out there. Obviously, there's not much for the early years, but there's a lot of AI literacy out there in education. Bring it all together, package it up. And then what I'm doing at the moment is I'm building my own AI model or AI
Mm-hmm.
tool. Um, um, I guess kind of platform is probably the word. I've white labeled.
Tell us more about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've white labeled. The company is called Launch Lemonade. I have a very good referral link if anyone wants to have a play around. Launch Lemonade, I have rebranded it for my company name. And then on there, I have access to all of the AI models. So I think at the moment there's 21 of them. So think ChatGPT o3, ChatGPT 4.0, think Gemini, think Claude, think Llama, think Grok. All of them are on there. I've got access to all of them. I've created all the AI assistants, and in there I give it my brain. So it's like the memory, but you can add in as much of the brain as you like. So for each of my AI assistants, I have a different knowledge base for them, along with different custom instructions. And then with that, I can create a GPT, which they call lemonades or mixes, of which you then go and put in your website. So then I have like a chatbot in my website, but in a members area, a chatbot of me, Marnie AI, or AI strategist, all my IP, everything in there in a members area for people to chat to the AI. The reason I'm building this on my own platform is I get access, and I make a disclaimer for this, but I get access to all of the chat. I can't get that off ChatGPT and GPTs. And the reason I want access to that is we are moving into agent territory. We need to train these agents. So the best way to do it is to have the data already. What are people talking? What are people asking about? How am I responding? How am I training the AI? That is where the gold is. And that gold could be money, but that gold could also be data and time. So I'm trying
Definitely,
to
yeah.
pull off the big platforms. Not that I don't use them, but I'm trying to pull off and within my company and selling this option to other companies, especially service companies like lawyers who have big data security protection, right? We give them access to their own AI model, of which they get the data to.
Yeah, yeah. We recently implemented something similar. We created on-premise cylinder kind of. So let's say this is if you put like 3 cups on top of it, so it becomes a small cylinder, right? So what we did it is we put the NVIDIA, the $3,000 kit,
Oh my
where you can
gosh.
run the yeah. It's
Yeah.
a small computer basically, but it's basically for AI. So you can implement any local AI. So we put Llama on it, and then we trained it. Well, we created a database, vector database, where we put all the sensitive data for the customer, because the customer we built it for is one of the C-suite officer, and we put that machine on his desk in his office, so he can literally take that machine with him in the car, in the plane, wherever it's going, and that machine is connected with internet, and that machine is sucking all the information which he approves, like his email, like the spreadsheet which his VPs are sharing with him, everything. What it does for him is he chats with this machine and gets insights out of it, but it's very private. So you cannot. And the first thing this machine does is it destroys itself if it doesn't get access from this particular person within
Oh,
12
right.
hours
I
of
got
time.
it. I got
That's
it.
what he wanted. That's why we created it. We wanted it to be open. We wanted it to be accessible by anyone. But he wanted to make sure that if I don't access this cylinder within 12 hours, it should destroy itself literally. So basically wipes out the whole database. Before we started implementing it, it sounded very crazy to us, because why would you want to create something like that? But I guess some people want that. Some people want their information to be super secure and, isolated with the world for reasons God or they know well.
Yeah. There's definitely going
Chris,
to be people out. Yeah, there's definitely going to be people out there that need that.
yeah, yeah.
I
This
have a
this
question for
particular
you,
individual,
if I
yeah,
may. Why
yeah.
did why did he choose llama?
He didn't. We did. So he was asking us what basic model we should use, and we asked like several questions. Do you have data in which formats? So he said any format. I can get it from documents, I can get it from PDF, I can get it from databases, spreadsheet, everything. And then we said, what kind of responses you're looking for? You want classified information, you want categorization, or you want charts, you want what? And then we looked into different kind of learning algorithms, like structured, unstructured, self-learn, reinforcement learning, all this kind of stuff. And we figured out that for his particular niche use case, Llama would be good for this instance. Maybe he will learn in next 6 months that that's not working out for him. because it's all experimenting, right? We just have to give them
Mm-hmm.
best suitable option, which we could advise right now, and then potentially based on his learning in the next 6 months, he could come back to us, and that's why we gave him an ELS, early life cycle support, for like 6 weeks when we deployed it. If anything goes wrong, we will replace it for
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
cost, absorbing it. So that worked out pretty well for us, because he came up with few questions. For that, we had to visit the office and then get things sorted. But then it was less than what we charged him for the ELS, so worked
Yeah.
out well, right?
Yeah. I think that's a really good takeaway for the audience around a couple of things there. Is one is because there's so much rapid change in what model we're using now might not always be the best model, and it might not always suit the use cases. I think it's really important to stay really flexible, or at least, not lock in for any more than 6 months. I think also if you're thinking business and you're thinking products and services, I wouldn't be having anyone be subscribing. I know 12 months is about that, but I just wouldn't do anything more than that, because you just have no idea kind of what's available, and you don't want them to be on a low subscription. You add so many
Yeah.
new advances, and then it doesn't make it worth your while anymore. So I think there'll be a bit of a shift there. And then in terms of like business planning, I used to plan 5 years in advance. I have stopped doing that, and I am maximum 2 years at the moment, because there is just too much shift going on. And, we just need to
Yeah,
keep in the flow and not be so rigid.
definitely. I couldn't agree more with you on this one, because this is every 2 to 3 weeks you get all these new models coming along. I mean, video came from Google that just blown up. Every single person in US is sharing that AI generated videos. I don't know when we are gonna get it. I don't know if it is available right now in
No, I don't
UK or
think it
not,
is
but
yet. No.
I don't think so it is right now. But yeah, definitely on that. So, Mani, this conversation is going well, because we are on a similar kind of journey together, so that's why we are enjoying it. But obviously, we are limited with time. So before going into our quickfire round, where I got 6 quickfire questions for you, I wanted to ask you one selfish question, basically, and I always do that, because I think I have to, for some reason. Where can listeners go to get access to your workshop or templates which you have built for your customers?
Yeah, sure. So I
Or is it
think
behind a paywall?
I definitely have some free resources
Okay.
available. I think, well, I love to connect with people on LinkedIn. I think that's the platform that I'm on most. I don't doom scroll or hang out on social media, other social media platforms. I keep saying I don't do social media, but I totally do. I mean, LinkedIn and YouTube are social media, right? That's kind of where I
Mm,
hang out. But I don't really hang out on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook anymore. I just found I wasn't very disciplined enough. So I have a VA that kind of runs that, but it's all my material that's just repurposed throughout. So, but direct contact to me is definitely on LinkedIn at Marnie Wills. And then my business is called Business with AI Strategist. So I post a lot of on LinkedIn company page for that as well. And I have an again, Business with AI Strategist on Instagram. And I have a Stan store, which I love, even before Stephen Bartlett invested. I on there have quite a lot of free resources. I have a perplexity guide. I think I've got a Claude guide. I've got a business with AI bit there. You can even book a 30-minute strategy call with me if you like as well, if you want to see if you're strategically how you're using AI at the moment, how you can strategically use it better. And my biggest talking point, and actually I do really love this, is we talk about where is your industry going? Like we brainstorm together and we use our AI tools to just have a little think about what your job description looks like, what your job and job description looks like now. Let's look forward into the industry and some changes in the industry, and then let's go back to what your job description could look like. And then that really helps steer any new products, services, or if you're growing or even launching, it really steers that in the right direction. Because I think we are, like we've mentioned many times in this podcast, just at that fork there where you can either keep going the old route, or you can be brave and risky and go a new route that hasn't been quite proven yet. And it takes a bit of courage to do that. And it's a bit challenging, but if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, right?
yeah, definitely, definitely. Great stuff. Well, thank you so much, Marnie. Are you ready to get into the quickfire round?
Yes, let's do it.
Great. Good. Great. Number one, the AI tool you open first every morning.
Oh, I know it's meant to be quick fire, but that's so hard. Oh, so many. Oh, this is really tough.
Choose one. Which you
Um,
use the most?
I'm probably researching so much at the moment, so Perplexity.
Perplexity. Okay. Sales metrics you care about the most right now.
Sales metrics. Personal sales metrics.
Okay.
Obviously, sales means money in the bank, right?
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
yeah, conversions. But I guess again, I reverse engineer that to how many conversations I've had. So yeah, I don't know
Makes
if that was a
sense.
good one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, no, that's a good one. We all do that. So yeah. Cold DMs or warm intros? What works better
Oh,
for AI?
definitely warm intros. Warm
Yeah.
intros. I do love the AI space at the moment because, you know, if somebody knows you have knowledge and experience and you like talking about it, and somebody gets to their end of their knowledge, they go, "Oh, you should drop Marnie a message." And then I get it, "Oh, Rosie said you should contact me." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Perfect introduction."
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect, isn't it? I love it. On my SaaS startup circles, I get these customer care pings on, the live chat thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I chat with them. And then next day, I get another ping saying, "Oh, you spoke with Marnie yesterday. She asked me to contact you." It's like,
Amazing.
okay, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. So good. So good.
So good. One sales myth that founders need to unlearn.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure I follow this all the time, so I could be, um, yeah, I could be a little bit unauthentic here. But I had a sales coach just recently tell our whole
Mm,
group, and excuse my language, stop effing around with podcasts if you haven't picked up the phone and made a sale today. So I guess, and this is me as well, I guess thinking that I've put a post out there, I've jumped on a podcast, I don't know, I've spoken to somebody that all of a sudden my business is successful.
that's not, yeah, yeah. You have to be out there in the front feet speaking with your customer firsthand. No question asked. That's the first duty of a, I don't know, salesman or a founder in their job. And then everything else comes after it. So, yeah, good one. What one thing AI can never replace in sales?
Sales, I think just genuine, um, like storytelling, like, part of a
Mm,
sales call, or just generally, it doesn't even have to be a sales call. It could just be a general, you're doing an event or you're in a podcast. It's just like you said earlier before we jumped on the podcast, it's stories. AI can't give stories. Stories allow you to, show that you're a real person. Somebody said to me the other day on a
mm,
podcast, "Wow, you're nerdy and you're real." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they must not have had enough connection with people, or maybe they've been chatting to their AI way too much. I'm not sure, but the point is AI can't give that. They can't give that real. They can't give those
mm.
stories. So I don't think AI can replace that when it comes to sales.
Definitely, definitely. And last but not least, um, most interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know.
Oh gosh. I'm a bit of an energizer bunny. I can't stand still. Um I go on holidays and I want to work. I don't know. I don't know if people don't know that about me already. I'm not sure, but yeah, it doesn't feel like work. I love what I do. I've always loved what I do. I feel fortunate enough to not have ever had a job which I hate. And yeah, I just think if you can't do what you want to do, then you're really missing out in life. And we should all be enjoying our journey.
Definitely. That's the one thing which we should never forget, isn't it? Great, Mani. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast.
I've loved the conversation. Thanks so much, Ash.
Great.